LeBron James and Luka Doncic heroics, a massively impactful injury to Jalen Brunson. Lakers Knicks might have been game of the year. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Let's go.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. Brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On Fridays, I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter, and the host of Locked On Pelicans. He is Ku Khahil, host of Locked On Pistons. You're at Ku Khahil on Twitter?
Yes.
Cannot remember. This is the first time. No, this is the second time we're doing Locked On NBA together, and we got a heck of a night for y'all because it was close games all around, headlined by late night Knicks Lakers and what might have been game of the year. We're going to talk about that one in just a second here, but today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Ku, this was awesome tonight, wasn't it?
I mean, this was one of the best games of the year, man. This was a late game, but if you didn't stay up to watch this game, you missed out on like one of the best games of the year. This was incredibly fun to watch.
Yeah, and that is the Los Angeles Lakers beating the New York Knicks in overtime, 113-109, a game where the Knicks led by 13 points until basically just heroics from LeBron James and Luka Doncic down the stretch in this one to send it to overtime. Knicks had a chance to win in regulation, but Josh Hart couldn't get the shot off in time and went to overtime, and we'll get to that because Jalen Brunson, who was also basically a hero in this one with 39 points on the night, went down with a really nasty ankle injury, but LeBron James, 31 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. Luka Doncic, 32 points, 12 assists, 7 rebounds. He was 10 of 12 from the line. Yeah, that trade worked out, huh?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely working out. I know Charles Barkley is pretty mad that it's working out, but it's definitely working out, and they're playing tremendous together, man. Like, any questions about how long this duo it would take this duo to really fit together? I mean, it's already went out the window. These two look tremendous together. LeBron, you know the fear that gets put into you with LeBron attacking a weak side defense with number advantage because they're putting 2 on ball with Luka. When's
the last time he had anything like that, right? Like, it's always been him down the stretch. He's got to hit the clutch shots for the Lakers, and now he has like space and like the pressure is off of him.
You got LeBron cutting into open space. Oh, it's just unfair, Dallas. I don't know why you did this, but I mean, offensively, they are looking like if any part of their game was going to work, I think most people believed, okay, if anything's going to work, it's going to be the offense. Offensively, they're 2 supercomputers. If it takes a second, it takes a second, but eventually they will look really good offensively. Defensively is where they're really just shocking me, and JJ Redick might need to deserve Coach of the Year just from making Jackson Hayes somehow like a.
I'm not a believer on him. I think that's just Luka is there, and it makes his bigs look so much better.
Fair enough, but I mean, look.
Still, I get what you're saying.
But I mean, Tibbs helped him out a little bit with being able to play Jackson Hayes in this game because Josh Hart, they were just doubling off of Josh Hart, and Jackson Hayes really wasn't having to guard anyone. He just stood in the paint the entire time. But either way, I mean, this team, 31 points from LeBron, 32 from Luka. If it wasn't LeBron hitting a clutch shot, it was Luka. This team's crazy, man.
Luka had that rainbow 3 over Karl Anthony Towns late in the fourth, and you're just like, this is ridiculous. But like, that is something that Luka has regularly done his whole career, and just seeing it take the pressure off of LeBron James is probably not fair to the rest of the league here. Lakers have won 8 in a row now after this game. Like, that's where we are when it comes to this, over a really good Knicks team that kind of had them, it felt like, dead to rights in this game for a while. And no problem. Come back, Look at him. They didn't get much help from anybody else, right? The third leading high score was Gabe Vincent off the bench with 12 points. Austin Reeves was 2 for 13 in this game, right? It was Luka and it was LeBron delivering this win for the Lakers.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Gabe Vincent. I actually think he came in big time for him.
Yeah, he was big.
4-4 from deep. I mean, he's probably getting the easiest shots he's ever going to get in his career. Like playing
all these guys are going to look so much better playing with those two players, right. Specifically those two.
You're going to get open shots for days playing. Like what the defense? What you had to put 2 on ball with Luka. You're basically choosing. Do we want to leave LeBron now wide open? So we're going to have to leave Gabe Vincent wide open, a Dalton Connect wide open. I mean, both those guys hit 7 threes tonight. I mean, this is going to make life so much easier for everyone else. And Gabe Vincent, I know they acquired him last year. He didn't really work out last year. He had some good moments in Miami. If he can really start hitting open shots for him, he hit 2 big shots for him in the right corner in this game late. If he's able to do that, I mean, look out, man.
Like you said, if you didn't watch this one, you missed out and you need to go see the highlights from it. Look, there's one highlight, though, you might not want to see. So let's kind of flip it over to the New York Knicks here. And that's Jalen Brunson going down with a nasty, nasty looking ankle injury in overtime that kind of overshadows this game a little bit because, look, dude had 39 points in this one, 10 assists. He was phenomenal. Let's go over to Locked On Knicks for their perspective here.
Heartbreaker to the Los Angeles Lakers. The bigger concern is a potentially serious ankle injury for Jalen Brunson. I'm Gavin Shaw of the Locked On Knicks podcast. The Knicks blew this one in a game they led by double digits or at least 8 points for the bulk of the second half, allow the Lakers to come back. A lot of the same issues plague them, but again, the bigger story coming out of this one is Brunson, who did everything for the Knicks in overtime, trying to force the issue in transition, bully his way through 3 Lakers, ends up with his, I believe it was his left foot, turning on Austin Rivers as he was falling to the ground, made both his free throws, limped off. Would obviously be nothing short of a disaster for the New York Knicks if he's out for any substantial period of time. There have been moments in the past where it looks like he's really hurt and he ends up ultimately being okay. I don't know, though. This one looked bad. And if tonight was any indication, the Knicks desperately need him. 1, because he is the clutchest player in the NBA, having one of the best clutch seasons in the history of the NBA this year. 2, because they don't have a lot of options. A lot of that rests on Tom Thibodeau. For more, tune into Locked On Knicks.
Yeah, that injury just looked bad. We're not doctors here. I don't want to jump in too much of what's it going to be, but at the same point, the way that thing bent on Austin Reeves' foot, it's tough to see. They play tonight, technically, when people are listening. He's not playing.
Yeah, I mean, that injury, they kept showing it on a replay, and I'm like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah, I hated that.
I'm good seeing this. His whole shin looked like it was touching the floor. That's how bad his ankle rolled. We did get an update, obviously, after the game from Chris Haynes that really didn't confirm anything for us. Kind of just, they have a sprain. It's going to be a sprained ankle. Okay, obviously. But, if he's out for any period of time, which it looks like he's going to be. We were talking about this before we started recording. Milwaukee is playing really well. They're 8-2 in the last 10. They're 4 games behind New York. New York's going on a long road trip. Milwaukee's
they have a 5-game road trip coming up.
If they miss him for this whole road trip, and they miss him longer, I mean, this looks like, again, we're not doctors, but this looked like a really nasty ankle sprain. Watch out. I think Milwaukee, if they're without Brunson for a while, Milwaukee could really catch them. And I didn't think that was something that really anyone thought was possible. They kind of thought that the top 3 seeds are locked, and it's more so that fight between 4 through 6. If Brunson's out, I think Milwaukee has a chance on catching them.
Look, he's the focal point of their team. He had 39 points in this game. You would think Karl Anthony Towns, the big addition this offseason, didn't do much in this game. He finished with 12 points on 3 of 13 shooting, 14 rebounds, yes, but he was basically, he didn't score in overtime whatsoever. He struggled in the fourth quarter here to the point where I was wondering if Thibodeau should have left him on the bench and not played him. And this is just the situation with them right now. The Knicks, despite being the 3rd seed at times, feel like they've underperformed a little bit, I think. And this type of injury to the main guy is definitely concerning big time for them.
Yeah, there's one thing I just want to mention before we wrap this one up. The Knicks not having, it seems like, because if they did, I have to assume Tibbs would do it. But the Lakers, for the entirety of the second half of the fourth quarter and the entirety of overtime, the Knicks were playing 5-on-4 offensively. They were doubling off of Josh Hart the entirety of overtime and second half of fourth quarter. Their points per possession after that had to be like under 0.5. They could not get any offense, and Tibbs the Knicks not having another option to where, like, okay, we'll get a spacer out there to where you have to get Jackson Hayes either off the floor or we can attack him in space. Them not being able to do that was killing me. Like, Brunson got double teamed on the final possession of the regulation before he could even cross half court because they just sent a double straight at him off the Josh Hart. Like, it was rough.
It always going to get rougher if they don't have Jalen Brunson out there. So coming up next, Steph Curry might be immortal, dropping 40 points in a win here. So did Kobe White, too. We'll talk about both those guys. That's coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Prize Picks. Basketball season is heating up, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you pick more or less on at least 2-player projections for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. It's easy to use, available in over 30 states, and lets you mix and match projections across different sports. If you had taken Steph Curry for more than 28 points, you'd be winning right now. Jason Tatum for more than 25, you'd have won big time. And Prize Picks makes it simple. You can set your lineup in less than 60 seconds, and you're going to be engaged all game long. And when you win, your money hits your account in as little as 15 minutes, so you don't need to wait around. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. And thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are here Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, covering every single game played in the association this year. And we do it all in under 30 minutes. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm making Locked On Knicks my second listen today because I do want to hear how that Jalen Brunson injury is going to impact their season. You want to know more? Go check out Locked On Knicks. Go check out Locked On Lakers. But Locked On Warriors too, because Steph Curry is just on a streak right now. In their win over the Brooklyn Nets, closer than they probably would have liked, 121-119, Steph Curry dropped 40 points in this one, made 7 threes. When I record with John, we tend to play a game called Real or Fake a good bit here. So Real or Fake, I think I asked this of John last week. Real or Fake, the Warriors are title contenders all of a sudden.
I think it's real.
Okay.
And the reason why, look, they're 8-2 in their last 10. Since Jimmy joined their team, they've been tremendous. Like, before they acquired Jimmy, I believe they were tied for like the 10th seed. And they've climbed. Now, I know that it's all jumbled up between like 6 and 10. There's only like a real 2-3 game difference between all those teams. But Golden State's climbed their way all the way up to 6. They're avoiding the play-in right now. And the biggest reason, not just with Jimmy's addition, what he's brought to their defense and, secondary scoring option, all that, it seems like it's rejuvenated Steph to know that, okay,
big time.
We have an actual chance now. Now I have another dude on, I guess on my level, or, another guy here to help me out. We actually have a chance, and it's completely rejuvenated him. I feel like this season has been like a really like interesting season because there's been a big push, and rightfully so. I've been one of the biggest people doing this as well, for the new young talent in the NBA to start getting coverage and start talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder, start talking about the Grizzlies, the Rockets, the Cleveland Cavaliers, like all these teams. I start talking about these teams, and right when it felt like, okay, maybe the tide is changing, now LeBron is having like the best 3 months of the last 5 or of his last 4 years. Steph is looking the last few weeks like a top 5 player again. Like, it's interesting. It's a fun season. It's the most talent I remember watching the NBA. And Steph is 40 points, man. This is after he just dropped 50 the other night. Like, he's playing. It's
incredible.
He's looking incredible again. I think you don't want to see Steph Curry like this in the playoffs. Like, no team wants to deal with this.
No, but I think you nailed it, right? Like, adding Jimmy Butler just gave them something kind of different, right? Like he looked like a wrecking ball in this game. He finished with 25 points on the night on 13 shot attempts. 25 points on 13 shot attempts is ridiculous because he went to the line 10 times because he was like, I'm just going to body these people. I'm going to play downhill. I'm going to get to the rim and I'm going to get fouled. Steph went to the line 9 times, right? Like all of a sudden the game's being made a little bit easier for him because of that. And so they just have this new dimension. The Warriors in this game took 32 free throw attempts. They averaged 21 this season. So that's the majority of time before Jimmy Butler. All of a sudden they kind of go from like what feels like a shooting team to something that has this different dimension that they haven't had before. And that's where when you look at some of the teams in the Western Conference, look, title contender might be a little bit too far here. But if you get this version of Steph in the playoffs, I mean, if you told me in a couple months, right, like, hey, they made the finals and they won, I'd be like, yeah, I buy that. I wouldn't be like your crazy future person, right? Like, yeah, if Steph gets hot and plays like this and Jimmy Butler, we know what he can do. Playoff Jimmy is a thing. Like, there is something there. Their ceiling might be the 5 seed, the 4 seed kind of at the max, but that means they can just kind of get through it. Last time they won the title was similar to that, I think.
Yeah, I think your point is a major point to people understand about the free throw attempts. This team is not a team that, look, the analytical way that you want to play in 2025. Threes, free throws, layups. That's how you want to do it. And obviously they can get threes up because of Steph. But Steph has never been, and there's been a lot of complaining throughout his career from his fans and himself that he doesn't get enough foul calls, he doesn't get enough free throws for the type of player he is, the kind of star he is. Jimmy completely changes that. He has one of the higher free throw rates in the NBA. He's always been one of those guys who gets to the free throw line. That's one of the main parts of his game. Not only does it lead to you having a more efficient offense, being able to get easier buckets, easier shots down the line throughout a game. It also gives you time to, give Steph some breaks in between possessions. I think that having that part of your offense, I feel like the Warriors just haven't had it. And obviously Jimmy being, who he is, and we know how good he can become in the playoffs. Look, OKC is the overwhelming favorite to get to the finals, and they should be. They're fantastic. But this is the thing with the NBA. Any series that Golden State walks into, Steph Curry is going to feel like I'm the best player on the floor. And as long as if you can have the best player on the floor in a series, you have a chance to win. And if you get this Steph Curry with Jimmy, how he's playing, with Draymond had 10 assists tonight. Like, if you get this kind of Steph, I'm not saying they're the favorites, not saying they should be favored to even win, get to the conference finals, like anything like that. But in any series, you get them playing like this with the Jimmy and Steph playing how he's playing, potentially being the best player in any given game he plays in, you have a chance to win a series anytime that happens.
Look, that's probably why we're both kind of like, yeah, they might be title contenders here just because of that. All right, let's move on to the next game here, and that's the Chicago Bulls beating the Orlando Magic 125-123. I want to go over to Locked On Magic here and Philip Rossman-Reich for more on this game.
This is Philip Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic here at the Kia Center. The Orlando Magic fall to the Chicago Bulls 125-123. And it was a game where the Magic felt like they left a lot on the floor. In fact, several players throughout the course of the postgame said this team needs to man up. And I'm not usually one that likes to use that language, but this is a gut check time for the Orlando Magic. They just went 1-6 on a critical homestand. They've now fallen to 9th with the Atlanta Hawks upsetting the Indiana Pacers. They are not picking up wins, and now they go on a difficult 5-game road trip. The Magic are in complete freefall. Their defense was in shambles tonight as Kobe White scored a career-high 44 points, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Kobe White just dominated the end of this game, erasing a late lead for the Orlando Magic, and the Magic just could not get the shots to go down. Even a game where they were making shots, they couldn't get the shots to go down when they needed them to. They didn't have their defense when they needed it. They struggled with the pace. They struggled with transition. They struggled with rebounding. They struggled with a lot of things that they're normally very good at, and they're just struggling right now. The Magic are in complete collapse at this point and falling further and further in the standings.
It was 44 points for Kobe White, and also agree that the Magic are in complete free fall here. We'll get to the Bulls in this game here in a minute, but Orlando's just lost everything that made them fun at the beginning of the year. It's so shocking that they almost looked better with injuries to Paolo Banchero and to Franz Wagner overall than when those guys are back. And it's like whatever they had at the beginning of the year is evaporated and gone.
Look, I'm going to say something here, and I don't think this is a hot take. I'm starting to see this become more and more of an opinion, and I'm starting to see more and more Orlando fans say this. But I'm complete. I've been in this camp for a minute, but I'm completely like bought into it now. I'm not a believer in Wagner and Banchero being a good duo. I think the Orlando Magic played just better with Franz on the floor. I think Franz is the better player here. The way Paolo plays, he has incredible talent. He has some on-ball juice, but I don't feel like he has anywhere near enough to take up the type of usage he's taking away from Franz, and the way you can play without a high usage guy selling for the type of shots Paolo takes. Obviously, they're dealing with injuries that for sure has hurt their season. No, I'm not trying to take that away at all. The injuries have hurt them a ton, especially to Jalen Suggs. He's been great for him. But long term, I think this offseason, the Orlando Magic front office, either one, they need to really look at this duo lasting long term if they need to make a move, or two, at the very least, in my opinion, the usage needs to be completely shifted. It seems like people just crown Paolo the face of this franchise and the franchise player and the best player on the team. I don't think that's the case. And if they're not going to trade one, I think you got to shift some of that usage around to Franz.
Okay, so I'm going to call that a hot take. I was not ready for that at all. This is someone. Banchero was an all-star last year. Let's remind people. And you're like, nope, I don't see it. Okay, all right.
I mean, look.
It's not working here now. I get it.
With Paolo out, the numbers Franz was putting up and the way the team was playing was just much better. The way they create offense, the ball moves a lot more. They create easier shots. Franz is a better playmaker. He gets the ball moving. He moves around more. Like the way if Paolo was a better individual scorer and had more juice as an individual scorer, it would warrant the usage and the shots that he takes. He's not a good enough scorer. He's not a good enough shooter to warrant that type of usage and to create that style of play within their half-court offense. I feel like if they're gonna make it work, they have to change the way they play. And Paolo cannot have that type of usage within your half-court offense unless he vastly improves as a scorer.
So they're actually worse offensively with him on the court by 3 points per 100 possessions. They have a negative 7.1 net rating for his on-off splits per cleaning the glass, whereas Franz Wagner is a plus 15.2, and they're about 8 points per 100 possessions better offensively and better defensively. There's something to what you're saying with the stats kind of burying it out right there. So, okay then. Maybe it's not as hot as I thought it was.
The numbers they're way too large for it to be nothing. It's way too eye-popping of a difference, not just the stats, but with the eye test. When you watch them play without Paolo, something has to change. If it's not a trade, then it has to be the way within you play.
On the Bulls side, Kobe White, 44 points, career high. Is this anything other than like cool game, cool story?
I don't know what they're doing. I have so many.
Yeah, it's
friends.
just increasing his trade value for like this offseason or something when they decide to just fully rebuild, I guess.
I have so many friends in Chicago. So many of my close friends are Chicago born and raised Bulls fans. And when they made the trade to get their pick back at the deadline, I didn't believe them when they said this to me. I thought they were lying. But I said, oh, you guys are finally going to tank. You know, you guys are going to get a top pick. They said to me immediately, Ku, I'm telling you, they're only doing this so they can make the 10th seed and say we still have a pick. I did not believe that they were actually being serious, but I swear to God, it looks like they're actually that's actually the goal here.
Look, getting your own picks back when you're bad is a very, very important thing to do. And then the whole point is to be bad. But no one knows what the Bulls are doing. Maybe they'll explain it over at Locked On Bulls. So 3 more games that's coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Zion, the Celtics, and more. That's all coming up here next. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So with FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you missed the opening tip or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love the live betting feature because when you realize momentum is shifting, that Orlando is going to lose, you can get in on that action and bet on the Bulls. So you're never going to miss action, even if you miss the opening tip-off. The app is super easy to use, and when you get paid, or when you win, you get paid instantly. So right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And thank you for making it Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen. Today and every day, we are here 7 days a week covering every single game around the association. So if you didn't stay up late for maybe the game of the year between the Lakers and Knicks, we got you covered in 30 minutes or less. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And don't forget, we got newsletters too. Just go to lockedondaily.com to start your day with your favorite team's newsletter. It's one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. It's over at lockedondaily.com. All right, good. We're going to go a little bit more rapid fire here as we kind of go around the league here with some of these games. I want to kick it over to the Boston Celtics, who just had an easy win over the Philadelphia 76ers, 123-105. Let's go over to John, who normally should be here, so we'll get him on the show.
Boston Celtics get the easy win here at TD Garden over the Sixers. Barely anybody played, but Jason Tatum did, and he dropped the easiest 35 points of his life. The big story might be Baylor Shireman, rookie, getting into the game here. 15 points on 50% shooting. A nice performance for him, lots of hustle plays. You had Peyton Pritchard continuing his role, shooting 50% on his way to 19 points. And Derek White getting a tooth knocked out. It's an unfortunate pattern for him, but the Celtics still managed to win this one very easily. They did not have Kristaps Porzingis, Jalen Brown, Drew Holiday, Al Horford, Sam Hauser. The Sixers did not have Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, obviously not Joel Embiid. So kind of a G League contest here, which is probably why it was so easy for Jason Tatum.
All right. Anything on that game?
I mean, all I gotta say is Jason Tatum's great, and he needs to stop being hated on.
He's just, no, we're not doing that. That's bait. That's a discussion for another day here. Like, absolutely not, under no circumstances. Let's go over to the next game here. Atlanta beating the Indiana Pacers 124-118. Let's go over to Locked On Pacers for more.
Tough one for the Pacers right here in State Farm Arena. Tony Easter with Locked On Pacers. 124-118 the final for the Pacers, who were up at halftime, who were up after three, and then got crushed 38-24 fourth quarter in favor of Atlanta. Trae Young was great. Dyson Daniels was great. George Niang led the Hawks in shots and was going crazy with over 20 points. Hawks lived in the paint, over 70 points in the paint. Pacers defense, both in terms of protecting the paint and in terms of stopping drives, was not there at all today, and they couldn't quite recover. That led to a game of Ron's Hawkswood surge for 10 quick points here, 8 quick points there. Pacers had some answers, but not enough as they dropped this one. They were without Tyrese Halliburton. That obviously played a big factor in this one, but Pascal Siakam was awesome. Over 30 points for him. They got good contributions from Aaron Nesmith. Miles Turner had a great start to this game. Pacers did have enough to win it. That's why they're winning in the fourth quarter at times, but not enough late. Their close was not where it needed to be. They fall. We'll have much more on Locked On Pacers.
All right, what you got on this one, Ku?
Thank you, Hawks. The Pistons are coming for the Pacers. We needed that, so thank you.
There you go. Look, the Pistons deserve every bit of good luck and help and all of that. All right, final game we're going to get to tonight. We'll go a little bit longer on this one, and that is the Houston Rockets beating the New Orleans Pelicans. Game I was at 109-97. Kind of a weird night for Zion, huh?
So I watched this game from start to finish. First of all, I'm in Thompson great. But what
you're
what
a big Zion guy.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am a huge. First of all, I love watching Zion play. He's just incredible. But yeah, this game he very clearly got frustrated with the refs. I think he was mic'd up, and they got him a few times, really getting angry. He even started talking some crazy trash to Dylan Brooks, which was funny. But I mean, he got to the free throw line quite a bit, but he very clearly got frustrated with the refs, and let that take him off his game a little bit. But still, I mean, 20-10. I mean, not too bad.
Look, 20-10 on 15 shot attempts is and we're that's a weird night, a bad night. When no, that's pretty good for most NBA players here. He's been playing it. It feels like a weird night because the past 16 games before this, he's been playing at an exceptionally high level. We got to kind of look at it in per minute stats because they've had him on a minutes restriction where he's been playing under 30 minutes, but he's clearly in the best shape of his NBA career. And I think you could easily argue, and I have argued, that he's playing the best basketball of his career at this point, it feels like.
No, he's 100% playing the best basketball of his career. All the impact stats say it. Look, he's not even touching 30 minutes a game.
Nope.
And he's averaging 25, 7, and 5 in 28 minutes a game. Like, how is that like, if you watch this dude, I'm telling you, if you could just get, and I know it's a big if. I know it's a big if. But if you could get 60 plus games of this dude, I am so high in the Pelicans next year. If with their lottery pick, Trey Murphy's incredible. With Zion playing, he's in the best shape of his life, but best shape of his NBA life. I think embarrassment can sometimes push a guy into changing the way he approaches things. I think that's happened with Zion. If that is legit, if that is what's happened, I'm telling you right now, next year, it's going to be a sneaky conversation for not only the Pelicans towards the top of the West. I'm putting it out there right now because people are not seeing what Zion is doing on a per minute basis right now. Next year, heading into the year, I'm telling you right now, I might put $5 on MVP for Zion. Like he is playing out of if the Pelicans were not destroyed by injury this year, I swear to God, people would be not talking about Zion. Oh, he's too fat. Oh, blah blah. We'd be talking about holy bleep, is Zion finally here? Like that's how good he is playing right now.
No, look, he's locked in defensively too. I think you could argue he's the best healthy defender on the Pelicans right now, and that's a pretty impressive statistic, I think, right now. And watching him do that is where, like, oh, maybe the mindset is a little bit different. 26 points for Trey Murphy in this one in the loss. You had, where did the stats just go? 22 for Şengün, 21 for Amin Thompson. I think Houston kind of needed that win a little bit here against some subpar competition in a lost year for New Orleans. And look, that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Cool. I appreciate you subbing in tonight here, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you, John. Skip some more Locked On Game Nights. I'll be here.
He'll be here. I'm Jake Madison on Fridays, as always, host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast. That's going to do it for this episode, and we're going to be back with y'all next week. See y'all next time.